pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Now call a roll. Commissioner President Wyatt.
Present.
Commissioner Vice President Webb.
Present.
Commissioner Allen Jordan.
Present.
Commissioner Andrews.
Present.
Commissioner Douglas.
Present.
Recording in progress.
Commissioner Dr. Harris.
Present.
Commissioner Hembry. Commissioner Hembry. Commissioner Johnson.
Present.
Commissioner Malone.
Present.
Also present this evening, we have Dr. Elizabeth Filipatos, Acting Superintendent, Mr. Cameron E. Cox, Chief Financial Officer, Board Secretary, Dr. Mark A. Williams, Chief of School Management, Chief Carletta Jones, Chief of Human Resources, Chief Chris Payne, Chief of Information Technology, Chief Ashawn L. Hill, Chief of Marketing and Communications, Dr. Danielle Mastro Giovanni, Chief of Equity and School Improvement, Mr. Bryant Horsley, General Counsel, Mr. Jeffrey A. Morton, Assistant Business Administrator, as well as Student Commissioner, Ms. Kaylin Marsola. Madam President, we do have a quorum, and I will read the welcome. Welcome to the business meeting of the Plainfield Board of Education. Members hope that you will find this meeting interesting and informative. We thank you for taking the time out to attend. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and media consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, and that the advance notice required therein has been provided to the Courier News and Tap into Plainfield on Thursday, March 5th, 2026, to be advertised on Friday, March 13th, 2026, and also provided to the Plainfield Public Schools District website, the Plainfield City Clerk, Police Department, and Public Library for posting. Madam President, please excuse me prior to turning it over to you. We identified a typographical error on one of the resolutions related to tonight's tentative budget. In that resolution, it does state when the actual public hearing will be. Before we even undertake this meeting, we wanted to make sure we clarify that typographical error. Tuesday is not April 29th. It is indeed April 28th. So it should read Tuesday, April 28th. And it should also read 6:30 p.m. and not 6 p.m. So we will make that correction, but I wanted to say that at the top of the meeting before the meeting can potentially get away from us.
Okay, thank you very much for that correction to the resolution. Now, welcome everybody. Thank you for all of you here in person and for those of you joining us virtually for engaging in our March business meeting combined with our preliminary budget hearing. There has been a great deal taking place in our district. We've celebrated accomplishments of our students, supporting our staff, and navigating a budget process that has required an extraordinary level of focus, flexibility, and discipline. We are doing this work at a time when education across our nation is facing increasing scrutiny, and shifting priorities are directly impacting how school districts like ours are funded. Here in New Jersey, we have also experienced delays and uncertainty at the state level, including the timing of critical funding information tied to the governor's budget, which is why you've noticed that we've had to change our meeting dates a few times because the state budget calendar has changed, so we had to reflect that same thing in ours. That uncertainty required us to move forward responsibly, even at times without having all final numbers as early as we would have preferred. However, I want to be clear that despite those changes, we now have what we need to move forward with intention. And we have approached this process with transparency, collaboration, and a clear focus on keeping our students at the center of every decision. Now, before I get into the rest of my remarks, I do want to acknowledge that we are still in the month of March, and I want to acknowledge March being Women's History Month. I'm proud to serve alongside the incredible women on this board, Commissioners Hembry, Allen Jordan, and Douglas, as well as our acting superintendent, Dr. Elizabeth Filipatos, and the many women that we work alongside and across our district and in the community who show up every day in service of others. As we reflect on this month and as it comes to a close, I want to remind you of the words of Maya Angelou, who said, "Each time a woman stands up for herself without knowing it possibly or without claiming it, she stands up for all women." To all of the women in this room and beyond, thank you for your leadership, your strength, and your impact. I would also like to congratulate our students on their many accomplishments. We are incredibly proud of our back-to-back state champions who once again represented Plainfield with excellence and pride. We also recognize our regional qualifiers on our wrestling team, and we look forward to the launch of our spring sports season, flag football, track and field, and baseball, and the continued impact of bringing swimming back online. Our students are not only achieving, they are thriving in spaces that now reflect the level of excellence we expect and will continue to build upon. And if I miss anything, charge it to my head and not my heart. I'm trying to address all items that I would normally address at our regular business meeting, while also now trying to address the additional purpose of tonight's meeting, which is for our presentation of the preliminary fiscal school year of 2026-27. That budget will be presented by Dr. Filipatos and Mr. Cox. However, before I yield the floor for the presentation, I want to start by providing some context and clarification on the fiscal year 2025 audit, as there has been a great deal of misinformation circulating within our district and in the community. Earlier today, I met with Dr. Filipatos, Mr. Cox, and our auditors to ensure continued clarity and consistency is what is being communicated publicly through our board and our administration. And I want to be very clear in my remarks to the public, as I state highlights directly from our meeting with the auditors, that they themselves have clarified this information to share with you all. So I'll start with the fact that there is no deficit, there's no missing money, there's no wrongdoing identified in our audit. The district ended the 2024-25 fiscal year with approximately $39 million in surplus, and the audit confirmed that there was no misappropriation or fraud. Any findings referenced in the audit findings were technical accounting adjustments, standard corrections that were properly addressed and reported. There are no indicators of any misconduct. It is also important to understand that the reported surplus is not entirely discretionary. It includes restricted reserves, committed funds, and funds already utilized within that school year, meaning that only a portion was available for us and to us as we move forward in our budget for next school year. Most importantly, the audit and the budget are separate. The audit reflects past financial activity while the budget is forward-looking. Again, the budget represents what we're planning to do moving into the next school year. Furthermore, the audit does not drive our budget decisions. It simply helps us define the resources that we have available to us. What does impact this budget are very real factors inclusive of declining enrollment, prior use of surplus to stabilize taxes, and rising operational costs, which are the realities we have been faced with as we navigate this process, not the audit findings. The auditors made it very clear that what we have is a district that is financially stable and engaged in responsible planning for our future. And although I hope that we can put these false narratives to bed this evening, and with the understanding and accepting of the fact that the audit is separate from the budget, we did schedule the auditors to be present in person and to provide additional clarity once and for all at our April business meeting prior to the board's approval of a final budget. So finally, I want to address a few things. I would be remiss if I didn't publicly acknowledge the work behind this budget process. Dr. Filipatos, Mr. Cox, the entire cabinet, and all staff involved, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Your leadership, transparency, and commitment have made this the most comprehensive and collaborative budget process that I have experienced since being on the board. We cannot begin to understand what you all have encountered at central office when you're not engaging us on a Teams meeting, but we can imagine that it has been quite a challenge. Starting at central office, you all have carefully evaluated all options and worked together while maintaining transparency as it relates to informing the board and the unions on your plan to right size at all levels and minimize the impact on classrooms for our students. That very intentional and collaborative work matters, and it has not gone unnoticed. You have committed to getting this work done while managing competing priorities and ongoing responsibilities, and most importantly, you have continued to ensure that this district runs smoothly and effectively. That not only takes a commitment, but it takes discipline and a deep belief in the work that you're doing for our district. For that, again, I want to thank each and every one of you. To my fellow board commissioners, thank you for your time. Thank you for your engagement and your willingness to lean into this work. The level of collaboration and responsiveness that I've received as board president from you all and your commitment to this process reflects our shared commitment to getting this right. We are engaged in the process of right-sizing our district which is driven by declining student enrollment and the need to align our structure, staffing, and resources with the current size and needs of our district. This work is not arbitrary, nor is it reactionary. However, it is required and it is very intentional. What we are working towards with this budget is about sustainability, responsible governance, protecting the classroom experience, and our efforts to prioritize the best student outcomes. And at the end of the day, every decision that we make must come back to one thing: our students, their success, and their experiences, which translate to a brighter future for each and every one of them. So with that said, I now turn it over to Dr. Filipatos and Mr. Cox as they present our preliminary budget for the 26-27 school year, immediately following our highlight video for the month of March that highlights our student and staff engagement throughout the district. Thank you. Dick, you can cue up the video. We'll do the video first.
Early in this morning, as I open up my eyes, something just feels right. 'Cause I can see the dawning. It's not so far away. And all my life I've been waiting for a day like today.
So I'll live like it's the last time for a long
And if I'm dreaming,
then please
don't wake me up.
Last time I seen the sun, I was
Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel.
Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I
You
rise.
know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me, yeah. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
A train. Put you on a train?
Drifting on by,
Me and the RZA connect.
drifting on by. It's a new life for me. For me.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Lights, please. We do have a resolution that we would like to read honoring the varsity boys basketball team. They're tired, so they are not here this evening. We will ensure that whatever type of celebration our boys would like, in addition to our cheerleaders who cheered them on all season, we will do whatever we can to ensure that that happens for them. But they've been playing hard all season and had an extended season, of which they did make us very proud. So we will read this resolution in honor of them now into the record. Honoring the varsity boys basketball team, the acting superintendent of schools, I so move the following. Whereas the varsity boys basketball team has demonstrated exceptional skill, discipline, and perseverance throughout the 2024-25 and 2025-26 school years, and whereas during the 2024-25 school year, the team captured the state championship title, showcasing outstanding athleticism, teamwork, and an unwavering commitment to excellence. And whereas, building upon that success, the team continued its remarkable run during the 2025-26 school year, securing a second consecutive state championship and cementing their legacy as one of the most accomplished teams. And whereas, achieving back-to-back state championships is a rare and extraordinary accomplishment that reflects not only talent, but also resilience, preparation, focus, and an unbreakable belief in one another. And whereas, the student athletes have represented their school community with pride and integrity, serving as role models through their leadership, sportsmanship, and dedication, both on and off the court. And whereas this historic achievement is a testament to the vision, leadership, and tireless commitment of the coaching staff and athletics division, whose hard work, guidance, and dedication have been instrumental in developing student athletes and building a championship culture. And whereas this success is further supported by the unwavering encouragement of families, school administrators, and the broader community. And whereas the varsity boys basketball team has brought tremendous pride and recognition and positive visibility to their school and the entire district through their continued excellence. Now, therefore, we hereby recognize and commend the varsity boys basketball team for their historic accomplishment of winning back-to-back state championships during the 2024-25 and 2025-26 school years. And we celebrate their legacy of excellence, perseverance, and unity that will continue to inspire future generations of student athletes across the district. And now, the board and the administration ask that Commissioner Johnson, that you receive this resolution on behalf of our varsity boys basketball team. We appreciate you. Would you like to share some remarks? Thank you.
I mean, the best thing I can say about this team is that they're resilient. They don't back down to anyone. They could have been anywhere in the state. They could have went to all the Catholic schools, but they chose to represent Plainfield. So, like, everything that they got, they earned. Three years ago, this same team was 4-18. And then they turned it all around. We have state champions. We have players of the year. We have coaches of the year. I mean, just their resilience and their commitment to winning is something that is going to go down in history. Like Madam President said, they etched their names in the historical records here in Plainfield, and we appreciate all of the support. Everyone that's in this room, if you ever been to a game, you made every gym we entered the RICO, so we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I yield the floor to Dr. Filipatos and Mr. Cox.
And before we get started on the budget, I do just want to say thank you to both you, Commissioner Johnson, and Commissioner Allen Jordan, because it's the love that you have poured into this program, the people in this room, the support. It's truly a transformative event to attend these basketball games and feel the love of this community. So I'm really proud to be part of that. So thank you. And I'm all choked up because that video was absolutely amazing. And we have very talented videographers, and one of them's right here, Mr. Taim Jordan. Also can transform the experience. So thank you for that video. So before we go right into the budget, I thank you, Madam President, for covering most of the things I wanted to say. In particular, I did want to acknowledge the fact that this presentation coincides with parent-teacher conferences at the elementary level, and that it was totally unavoidable due to the budget, as you shared, as to the delay from the governor, and we're very sorry about that. I also want to extend my thanks to all of our staff, administrators, and community members who participated in our town halls last week. Those town halls really queued up this conversation about the budget and really made the difference for us. So we appreciate your interaction. So now we'll go up there and get started. Yeah. Okay, good evening again. And my name is Beth Filipatos, and it's my colleague Cameron. We are going to be using our first names, and we are going to be trying a little something different this year. We had a lot of feedback from the community that sometimes these budget presentations are hard to follow. They can be wordy, they can be at the 2,000-foot level, and we were asked to kind of take it up and really explain this in a more understanding way. We want to start by saying that throughout the presentation, commissioners, if you have a question, if you could stop us on that slide, we want to be able to interact with you right while we're in the budget. And we're going to go back and forth because I know things that Cameron doesn't know, he knows things I don't know, so we're a good combination.
All right, thank you for that, Beth. We've also heard loud and clear our community, as Beth said, sometimes they want a little bit of extra information. We don't want to have 63 slides up here, but what we have embedded, or you'll have some periodic QR codes that'll take you to certain documents. And so we've put some quick facts together that we thought might be pertinent or good for people to understand certain elements of the budget. If you scan that QR code will take you to a collective document that will have quick facts about the audit's impact on the budget process. And by the audit, we mean the most recent fiscal 2025 audit, excuse me. Some quick facts about health insurance costs and what kind of drives that and what's been driving that, not only for the district but across the nation. And then lastly, we have a quick facts about the usage of reserves and the district's overall fund balances. And so we'll just go ahead and pause here for a couple another seconds. So anybody who wants to go ahead and use that QR code now can do so that they can go to those quick facts documents.
Yes, and you will receive, this will be on our website as soon as we're done, and you'll have access to the link right below the QR code if you're looking at it on a computer. You'll see this several times because what we're trying to do is make it as easy as possible for you to link to all of our information.
Quickly, can you tell the viewers that are online virtually how to access the QR code if they're actually viewing the meeting from their phone to make sure, but I know that was an issue last time. I mean, you can have IT explain it. I know there's a way that they can press down on it or click
So
on it.
if they screenshot it, then they can press down on the QR code if you are watching virtually from your cell phone. So IT says if you screenshot it while the QR code is up, and it's still up, so you can do that at this time, and then hold the QR code down on the screenshot. It will take you to that document. And again, as Beth said, once we are finished, the document will be posted on our website as well.
Okay, so we're going to start at the beginning. What you see up there is a winding road, and the budget development process takes months, and it is not easy. I want to make sure to thank everyone in this room, and ELT, Carletta and Danielle, Mark, Jeffrey, Cynthia, people who've worked really, really hard on this. Where's Chris? Yeah, thanks everybody. It's a huge process, and we started with our strategic plan and began aligning what's going on, what's working, what do we need to make sure we're doing, what do we need to protect. Then we sought input from the community, from the staff, from the commissioners. We had one form that everyone filled out. Then we began by receiving some of our primary suggestions about what we were going to expect from the state, from the federal government, and just noting the rising costs that we were experiencing across the district. And then it hasn't been an easy process due to the drop in enrollment. So when you lose enrollment as a school district, you have to do what's called right sizing, and that making sure that all of your resources are matched to the students that you are serving. So as you see, we are in this loop right now. That's where we are. This represents a pie of all the people that took the survey, and the survey started us off on kind of making this even more interactive for you. So community, staff, and board commissioners, this represents what you asked for us to prioritize in your budget.
And just for anyone who's in person and might not be able to see the colors in the key at the bottom, the community is the blue color, the green is the staff of the district, and then the red color is the commissioners, just so that you can kind of understand the color coordination of the key code.
And if you did attend either of the town halls, you know this is where we started. We put all the survey results together and found that each one of the collaborator groups prioritized academic proficiency as the most important outcome, with a focus on math and literacy and high quality instruction and curriculum. This was across all groups. We also asked what services do we need to protect? Mental health services, special education services, multilingual supports, and intervention programs for academics were the 4 top supports that we are protecting with this budget. And finally, this chart represents the comments. So there was a place in the survey for people to actually write narratives. And so we put all that together, and with the help of AI, we're able to determine that 40% of the comments focused on keeping the taxes flat, and 30% requested transparency, which we have attempted at every turn. 20% prioritized student outcomes, and 10% of the comments focused on us using our resources wisely. So those were the priorities, and this was the result. This budget focuses on classroom and instructional supports. We are committing to no increase in class sizes, full access to materials and supplies for every classroom, instructional coaching for our new teachers, academic interventions provided for students who need them. After school and supplemental programs will be exactly as they are now, preserved. And we have made an investment in technology, and I'd like you to explain a little bit about that.
Absolutely, thank you, Beth. And we kind of, again, we've tried to hear our engagement groups around every turn and then make sure we ensure transparency. And we've heard recently that some people in the community may have either misunderstood or kind of thought it wasn't the right time for us to commence with the IT restructuring and right sizing. And so one of the things, first and foremost, I do want to give a round of applause to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Chris Payne, for all that he does to keep us on the cutting edge of technology here in the Plainfield Public School District and across the state. When we did this exercise, this was not a knee-jerk situation. We had been planning this right-sizing activity for the last few months. I'll probably say about 6 or 7 months. And in essence, what we did is we had a pool of hourly staff members in the Office of Information Technology. I believe the number was around 18 or so. And really great, they support all of our needs, but as an hourly, by law, we could only allow them to work a certain amount of hours. So we had various hourly employees supporting our buildings in terms of instructional support so that they wouldn't have any technology deficiencies throughout the instructional day. But when their 4 or 5.5 hours were up, they had to leave. So any tickets or any IT needs that weren't emergent in terms of like the whole network going down, sometimes had to wait until a salaried employee at another location could finish doing what they were doing and then come over. That would also increase overtime. And so as a part of this exercise, one of the things we did was narrow that down to the 10 employees that you saw that were just recently appointed as full-time employees. It allows us to ensure that they can complete a full workday, and it also ensures that we have a full-time technician in each one of our instructional buildings, so that for needs that do arise where tech support is needed to ensure thorough and efficient education and instruction, we have somebody full-time on standby, and it does not inadvertently cause overtime for somebody to have to come fix that after 4, 5, 6 o'clock at night.
And thank you. Before you go on, our team member did come up and remind me that technology is part of that materials that every student will be protected. Everyone has an iPad, and all of our curriculum is also delivered electronically. So it's on both sides of that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Beth.
So we're focusing on literacy. That was one of our, we've been focusing on literacy. And the most important thing to kind of recognize for what we are accomplishing with literacy is a continuous thread of improvement. And starting with early literacy, really focusing on those foundational skills, moving up the pyramid to getting the vocabulary, and then finally getting out there to be excellent writers. So it's a continuous process, and our curriculum is aligned from start to finish. This is also true with math. We're working on, really deepening conceptual understanding of math rather than just rote memory. We are building the pyramid of math as well with a very structured and specific program for the math. So shout out to all the IMP programs, supervisors and teachers that work on this.
And so I want to thank you, Beth, for kind of clarifying, what our focus is in this budget to ensure, again, based off the feedback we received throughout the survey, and talk about how we're going to make concerted efforts to ensure that we educate all of our children. If you can take a look right here, we have in our enrollment trend slide. This enrollment trends will have the blue color at the bottom is the preschool, and you see there's a slight dip off there. Actually, the New Jersey Department of Education removed 50 seats from the district, and so that should be noted later when we get to the budget for for preschool. Then you see the charter schools is moving up from the projection, but our overall in-district enrollment is slightly down, and this is when we talked about enrollment alignment. Because we can only have staff to teach and support that are aligned with our enrollment in the district, which you see is a significant drop-off from this current year to projected for next year.
I want to thank the CPAG for having me at their last meeting. That's our Special Education Parent Advisory Group. Try not to use acronyms. Special education enrollment remains relatively flat, and it is completely protected in this budget. Special education services and related services are always protected by the IEP. And if you go to the next slide, you can even see click it. Okay, so you can even see we have increased our funding for special education based on drivers of increased, operational costs mainly. But special education was going to be noted at the beginning of this presentation because it is very important to us, and we focus many resources in special education.
And so, thank you for that, Beth. We also want to kind of circle back here to our, did I go to the right slide? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Want to make sure. To our charter school projected enrollment. As you see, the number is very similar, very close to last year. We had an actual enrollment last year of 3,058 students and a projected enrollment for next year of 3,201. And some would say when you see that increase in payments to charter schools, why such a large increase for not as many students? We wanted to kind of bring your attention to the various charter school networks that currently receive payments from the Plainfield Public Schools. The schools highlighted in yellow are the schools that are not in Plainfield. So we kind of want to clear up that misconception as well. It's not just the schools that are residing here in Plainfield. We do have a charter school network that currently has some of our students in Somerset, New Jersey, Franklin Township. We have 3 in Newark, and we have 1 in Morris Township. And the reason why that's key is because when you look here and you see the total charter school payments for this budget has increased by $3.46 million. Recently, the legislator has, if you want to speak on how the legislator has
They changed, yeah, and it coincides with the special education support. Instead of doing census funding, which is flat funding for students, so now charter schools receive specialized funding or change funding that's assigned to multilingual status or special education status. So like, for example, if you look at Barack Obama Green, their enrollment has decreased by 4, but their payment has gone up due to the ending of census payments.
And thank you for that specialized clarification, Beth. And so when we talk about, we start to get into the nitty-gritty of our budget, we know that as a former Abbott and currently SDA, which is a School Development Authority district, we're very heavily dependent upon state aid to fund our operation expenses on a year-to-year basis. Most recently, again, we had that delayed announcement from the governor, as which is customary when we have a switching of the governor. The legislator generally gives that governor a little extra time to kind of get a lay of the land, understand what's going on. And they also push back the budget address from the governor by act of the legislature. We had a gross state aid increase of $5,834,336. However, we just want to kind of start to frame up what happens with that. Our charter school payment, which we've already discussed, has gone up roughly $3.4 million. So it really only leaves us a net of approximately $2.4 million to add to our operation of the district. And we kind of want to take a pause here because we've also heard that it becomes like the dry eye situation. We don't want to hear you just have us just listening to us. So we put a nice little break here for those that are in person and those that may be watching at home as well. If you're watching at home as well, I would direct you to the website, which is the easiest place to receive these 2 documents. After the board had reviewed and accepted the audit on January 20th, we then uploaded what's called the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, often referred to as the ACFR, but we're trying to get away from acronyms that some people may not understand, as well as the companion document, which is called the Auditor's Management Report, or the Administrative Findings. Both of those documents were uploaded on February 5th and have been on the website since then. So we kind of want to dispel that narrative that we have not publicized the audit. The audit has been up there since February 5th. But if you have not got a chance to review it, please take the time to scan. Each one of them is a separate document. One of them is pretty lengthy, so I don't want you to, be worried by that. But we'll take another 15 seconds or so here, so those in person that want to scan it or those at home that want to screenshot it as opposed to going to the website can go ahead and do so. All right, looks like everyone in person took the pictures that they were going to take. And so we'll use that to get into our revenue analysis, which will start to frame up, the bottom line budget. And so as you heard me say, we did get an increase of a little over $5.8 million in state aid. We've also heard our community and our survey participants loud and clear. We've protected the local tax levy with a flat funding, so we did not increase the tax levy at all. We have made some significant improvements to capital projects in the last few years, and so we don't anticipate getting those higher number of interest on our deposit accounts. So we've budgeted a slight decrease there. And you will also see that with the fine help of the employees within student services, we've been able to recognize significant reimbursements for extraordinary aid. And I'm have Beth kind of explain what that extraordinary aid process is and talk about how we are recognizing an additional $1 million there.
Yeah, shout out to Special Education, Division of Special Education. Every year they are able to receive more money in extraordinary aid. Extraordinary aid is a chance for districts to recoup money that they have spent on special education services that exceed a specific amount. So an application is submitted for every student that is eligible for reimbursement, and we have been able to significantly improve the outcome of that. So thank you.
Yeah, those improved processes are really paying off, and I, again, personally from the business office, want to thank all those in the Division of Student Services for all that they do, which is why if you see comparatively, we're recognizing an additional $1 million there. We have our total sum from all federal and state sources, and then the total revenue, which is indicative of the local sources, state and federal sources. And then we get to that portion that we want to make sure we highlight in terms of the usage of budgeted fund balance, capital reserve withdrawal, or maintenance reserve withdrawal. In the current budget, we've reduced significantly the dependency on that one-time revenue that we discussed prior to, which is the budgeted fund balance. And again, that is in your facts document, and we'll have another time for you to scan that. That explanation for those that might have not caught it is in your facts document. And then we're also taking a $4 million withdrawal from capital reserves to fund a few capital projects for this year. And so this is just a historical analysis. There has been a narrative that we've heard from the survey and from also community members and sometimes the board, kind of making sure that we're not heavily reliant on these kind of withdrawals from our reserve accounts. And so here goes a 10-year trend of exactly how we've utilized those funds over the last 10 years. I want to obviously draw your attention to 2020, 2021, as well as 22, 23, and we'll go ahead for fun throw in 21, 22. Obviously, during those pandemic years, the legislator in New Jersey allowed districts to then kind of stockpile the very flexible surplus accounts by moving the balance from a cap of 2% to a cap of 4%, which allowed us to not have to take any withdrawals from capital and maintenance reserve, and at the same time, with limited use in the building, we were also able to defer some of those projects and build up those reserves that you later see us utilizing in 24, 25, 25, 26, and 26, 27. And so when we go back talking about the local sources of our revenue, we heard the survey results, and we've heard the participants loud and clear. One of the priorities was 40%, I believe, was to make sure we protected that tax levy and keep it flat. And so you see that here. You will notice a slight increase in the debt services. That is the final payment of a bond that's indicative of the market and interest. It is a slight increase of $2,687. That's not something that we can control. That's something that was pre-negotiated based upon the closing of those bonds some years ago. And we are not currently recommending to the board a tax levy increase, but for context, we did want to put it up there so everybody could see. Currently, a 2% tax levy increase in our budget equates to a little less than $620,000. And here's our general snapshot of all the funds, totaling out with our general fund and local sources, as well as grants and entitlements, and that small piece for debt services. Everything buttoned up comes to a nice $336,779,479. And so want to bring your attention to the special revenues. I talked earlier about the NJDOE reducing our capacity by 50 overall slots, and that you can clearly see the deduction from preschool, which in the current year is a little bit under $26.8 million, to those 50 seats, equating to now our budget being around $24.8 million. And that just goes to show you that a reduction in servicing students and educating students has a very real impact on not only your preschool budget, which comes from the state, but also our overall budget and our enrollment projections. And the fiscal cliff, we've been talking about it for the last 3 years. the board, the administration, we've gone to multiple conferences to continue to advocate for what the federal government and state governments were going to do as we really see the impacts of the fiscal cliff. We know it's here, and you can see all of our title and entitlement grants significantly reduced year over year. When you couple that with the reduction from the pre-K reduction, that gives us an overall reduction of 18.6% in all of our grant special revenue funding. So I'm going to grab a bottle of water after this, but I'm going to just quickly say we wanted to bring you again to those quick facts. They may be pertinent, or maybe if you missed it, that QR code will take you to the quick facts about the audit's impact on the budget process, the health insurance costs. Thank you, Commissioner Allen Jordan. And the usage of reserve and fund balances. And while anyone who needs to scan that will take a couple seconds, but I just want everyone to keep the key drivers in mind for this budget as we close it out. Again, we've had a significant decrease in student enrollment. That has a very real impact on our overall ability to fund our operations here in the district. We have our rising charter school payments, our rising health insurance costs, and as Beth has said, she likes the term societal inflation. That's just the cost to continue to do the business that you did year over year with current societal inflation attached to it.
Briefly, Mr. Cox and Dr. Filipatos, at this time, I just want to pause for a second. Order. I also know that as a board, we've met lots of times, more than we have in a long time. We've met over the last few weeks, but if you do have any questions at this point regarding any of the information that has already been shared, then ask those questions. As they stated, they want this to be engaging and more like a conversation than us waiting until the end to ask our questions about slides that was at the beginning. So if you do, great, they'll answer them. If you don't, then we understand as a board because we've met about this a million times, and we can just let them finish their presentation and address questions at the end.
Thank you for that segue again and reminder, Madam President. When we talk about our salaries and benefits, we know for a fact, we've stated year over year, our salaries and benefits are our largest portion of our budget. Currently, you will see a reduction in salaries. That reduction of salaries is attributed to the personnel alignment to our overall enrollment. As we stated, we've lost significant amount of students, and so we have to align all personnel to that subsequent reduction in enrollment. But we've still seen a significant increase in benefits, and the significant increase of benefits is attributed to all those fun facts that are outlined in that document that we've kind of linked in the presentation. But just really quickly, just want to ensure that the increases in benefits is not attributed to something that is isolated just to Plainfield. This is occurring in pretty much every school district in the state and probably every school district across the country. There are rising costs that are just making it more and more expensive to just operate and implement an agency's health benefit plan. That total brings it slightly under $198 million of the general fund budget, and what you can see is that represents one thing. It is consistent. We kind of hover around the same amount, and we're at 58.73% of our general fund budget with the projected salaries and benefits for 26-27. And we also recognize that there are those that learn better with visual cues and visual representations, and so we wanted to ensure that we gave a visual depiction of what that looks like for those that, you know, appreciate the visual depiction more so than the verbiage. And so now we get to the appropriations, right? And so it's a somewhat of a simple formula. When you have that reduction in enrollment, you have to reduce across the board all items that associate with the reduction in enrollment. And so what you will see is the appropriations for the subcategories here in our budget, which will ultimately show the some reductions and some increases that are highlighted in the budget that do not reduce, that do reduce the non-salary costs for those specific areas. And in some areas, I'm sorry, it does increase. So the parentheses, just to use the plain language, the parentheses are the items that are reducing in the budget, and then the straight numbers are those that are increasing. And again, a visual depiction of the percentage of all of our appropriations are shown here on the appropriations pie. And then in this pie, we separate, every area so that it can just clearly show how, when we're talking about the operation of the district, exactly how it's attributed to our overall appropriations.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
if you can go back, I'm sorry. For the
Can
summer school.
you speak into the mic,
I'm sorry.
Dr. Harris, please?
For summer school, I see a significant reduction between.
Yep.
Can you explain that a little more?
Absolutely. So when you go to the summer school line, you'll see it's been hovering around $500,000 for the last 2 years, and then you see a significant decrease. In difficult budgetary times, we've prioritized the things that we were told to protect. Summer school is one of them. And so what we've done is, prior to, in normal years with some of our entitlement grants, we would carry over a couple $100,000 and kind of push it off to next year for additional programming and support. And to ensure that we were being prudent with the funds, what we did is, instead of kind of holding off on those carryover funds, we've leveraged anything that would be earmarked as carryover for the 26-27 budget, because our entitlement funds run off differently. Our fiscal year is July 1 to June 30th. The entitlement funds run October to September. And so we'll utilize those funds to ensure that we implement our summer school programming this year. And that's why we only have the $6,000 that's allocated. That's what's going to be coming out of the general fund, and that represents the money that we can't cover by the entitlement grants.
So in other words, you are confirming that we were still going to have summer school.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Summer
was
school
gonna
has not
reiterate
been
that.
eliminated or cut in this current budget.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had a lot of parents ask that too, and it is a priority, and it will be at the same level that it was last year.
All right. And so when we talk about those societal
Gas.
those increases just to continue your operations, transportation is one of those, and we wanted to give a visual depiction of what that looks like for our projected increase to continue to operate our transportation division, that utilizes both internal employees to conduct routes, as well as partner provider to have contracted routes. All right. So when we start talking about the summary of specific reductions, we wanted to ensure that we could show, obviously, the board, but our community members and those that took the time to not only come out, but participate in our survey process, which is making them a part of the budget process. We wanted to really show you where we've cut, so that you can see, before we did anything to any personnel alignment, we wanted to ensure that we identify areas where we've cut. So we've cut almost 39%, a little under 39% in the overall travel district-wide. That represents all areas of travel. Supplies, we've cut significantly, almost 28%. And those supplies, before we have an issue, those do not represent the pencils and pens that our scholars are going to need in their classrooms. Those are more so the high-level supplies for building base, because we're going to need less of some of those general supplies to support slightly less amount of students. Consultants have been cut significantly, almost $2 million in consulting cuts, which we did kind of articulate when we were having the town hall process, that's what we would do. And so when we look at our agreements going forward, that number comes in a little bit under $2 million. Again, big shout out to Mr. Chris Payne and his team. We've ensured that we've brought all software and electronic programming under his domain. Before, there were some things that were kind of spread out in different areas based upon the usage of the software. That allowed Mr. Payne to conduct a software audit and identify any necessary redundancies. Again, it's not much new in education, but when you kind of put 2 or 3 softwares next to each other and recognize what they do to help support instruction and education of our students, you see there's some slight redundancies. And through that evaluation and that audit of the different software, we were able to cut a little over $1.1 million. And we also had the aggregate non-salary costs totaling across the board which comes to be about $4.4 million. You want to speak to?
Yeah, so the chart on the bottom represents the effort to align our staff to our enrollment. So this is what we did the projections within our student information system and put out all the classes for next year, and then, match that to staff. And from that place of after enrollment, we also looked at every job throughout the district for redundancies and efficiencies. So we had to, really make some decisions about how can we be financially responsible given the reduction in funds. The percentages you see there are proposed. They're not a final.
All right, and I just want to kind of bring back to the capital element. I know sometimes in these presentations we do really nice, colorful, digital layouts of what the project will look like. With the minimal allocation, we elected to propose to take that $4 million and do more of the kind of like nuts and bolts type of projects, little less of the glitz and glamour, although there are still some glitz and glamour projects that in a perfect world, if the DOE calls me up and say, Mr. Cox, we got $15 million for some kind of capital projects, trust me, we have a plan. We'll put that $15 million to use very quickly. But we also want to ensure that we're supporting the nuts and bolts capital projects. And so here you'll see that Hubbard School's second and third floor, 2 years ago we replaced the roof. As we know, that's a very much so an aging building. The second and third floor on one wing has some ceiling issues that we've identified that we would like to get corrected. And so that's what you see that there. Maxon Middle School, again, shout out to the Maxon Falcons, as an alum of this building. We got an old elevator in the building and we have a newer lift, but that lift itself is almost 30 years old. And so, we want to get that upgraded to ensure that we're supporting not only our students and staff, but also visitors that may need to utilize the elevator or the lift. Plainfield High School MDF room, I messed this acronym up, so I'm just going to give you the plain language. The MDF room is where all our technology for the network comes into a beautiful big closet. As you can imagine, with all those network cables and servers and whatnot, that room gets significantly hot. So even when it is cold outside, it could be 100 and something degrees in that room. The way you protect the material and the machinery in that room is to make sure it has an updated air conditioning system. And so that's what you'll see there. Additionally, at the IT building, we need to upgrade the HVAC, which is both the heating and the cooling for that building. The PHS North building, the lower two floors, the 400 and 500 floor, have some tile abatement and floor replacement that need to be conducted. And then we have a section of our roof at the south building of PHS that needs to be replaced. And again, that is not a complete roof replacement for the south building, but it is a sectional replacement. And anybody doing the quick public school math at home, that's not $4 million. What I would like to just point out is with all those projects, there'll be applicable architectural and engineering services that under administrative code, we are allowed to take that money we utilize with the withdrawal from capital reserves to pay for the associated professional services for our architects and engineers to accomplish these projected projects. And so, almost lastly, we're getting close to the end, and I know everybody's sick of hearing my voice, is our long-term debt. It's something, a data point we always like to let the board know about, let the community know about, because it does help. I see my colleagues in the back are laughing at me. It does help out with the future projections of the district and future budgets. We do have an old Apple lease here, but we have it to show you how the phase out happened, how we reduced the overall cost in 1 year. We had to buy out, and then we were able to start a new tech refresh with the Apple leases to ensure that we had the best available product for our students. You'll see the ESIP in 24-25, we only paid interest. In 25-26, we currently have interest and principal, and the same thing in 26-27 and 27-28. We're not projecting out further than that. And then we have our last series bond that was approved through referendum. That final payment will be made in the 26-27 school year, and then that debt will in essence fall off.
So we're halfway there. As far as the budget process, we are in the middle, and we are, presenting this to the Board of Commissioners so that we can go to the next process, which would be submitting to the county.
Correct. And if the budget, if the tentative budget is ratified this evening, I will then submit the necessary documentation to the county to get their review and approval, at which time, once we get that review and approval, they'll give us kind of the go-ahead to advertise for our public notice for our public hearing, and then we'll move further along this kind of pathway of where we are with the budget process.
And while we stay on this last slide, I just want to thank Vashon and Phyllis for doing this presentation. They do an excellent job with the visuals, and I felt it was a lot easier to give because of their work. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Vashon and Phyllis. And so, just before we move on, just want to ensure, I know there weren't any immediate questions other than Dr. Harris's. Were there any questions from the board? All right.
Any commissioners online have questions?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's right, we did have a few online. Is it Commissioner online? Okay.
Yeah, just one quick question. You said 15% reduction in administration. That represents like how many people are we looking at? We're talking about, and then when we talk about administration, we're talking about school building administrators or at the district level?
Both district level and school level. I'm looking at the attorney because there's a very specific timeline that you need to follow for, making these kind of right-sizing decisions. So a specific number.
Let the attorney speak to that.
If you have a number, you can say what that projected number is. If you don't have the number, then there's nothing you can say.
Okay. 15% of 82, but there's more.
If you're still working on a number, I would prefer, as the board president and from the board, that you not give out a number and allow the public to run with that number if that's not going to be a definitive number. Because what we don't want is for any misinformation to send a narrative out that if you say 50 and then the number ends up being 62, then that could present a problem for us as we continue to move forward in this budget process. So if you do have a number and you would like to share that, then great. But if you don't, please do not put out a number and then change it later on. I think that would be the best governance practice.
I agree. I mean, right-sizing is probably the hardest thing administration has to do, and it's really very, very important that we're careful and thoughtful about how that goes, how that happens.
Do you have any other questions from commissioners that are on virtually? Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you guys for your presentation. We know you've worked hard on it, and we appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Now, we will entertain a motion to go into public comment prior to us going into executive session. So if there is a motion on the floor to go into public comment.
Motion to open public comment?
Second.
You heard the motion on the floor? Go ahead. You could have it.
It's your meeting, Madam President.
I know, but I'm
You've heard, it's been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Commissioner Dr. Harris that the board now go into public comment at this time. You've heard the motion. Are they ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right? Motion carried. Let me just read the disclosure, Madam President. At business meetings, a 30-minute period will be provided for public comment following committee reports. During this time, members of the public may raise questions or express concerns related to district matters. All members of the public will be asked to present their questions or comments before any response is given. A response is not required, nor will the board engage in back-and-forth dialogue with any other members of the public. Responses, if provided, may come from the board president, superintendent, or designee. Members of the public are encouraged to submit additional questions or comments to the superintendent or board leadership ahead of or following the respective meeting for review and follow-up. Members of the public may address the board once per meeting for a maximum of 3 minutes as measured by the clock. No extensions will be granted. This time is not transferable from one individual to another. Privilege of the floor is now open.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Keith Costin, Jr., President, Plainfield Education Association. Over the past few days, I've struggled to find the right words to address this body. As someone shaped by this town, this environment, and this culture, I've witnessed time and again our staff give everything they have, pouring themselves into the students and families of this community, only to be left wondering every few years if they'll still have a job. I often find myself thinking about where I would be today if staff members like Greg Thomas, Deborah Celestin, Patricia Harper, Joyce Gerstoffer, and even our own current Commissioner Pat Hembry, just to name a few, have been right-sized or laid off. How different would my life look if those individuals hadn't invested so deeply in me? They saw beyond the surface. They recognized a young man who needed more than just an education, and they gave that freely. Whose shining star might we be letting go? Whose reason for showing up to Plainfield Public Schools are we choosing not to renew? We have to understand that these individuals are more than employee numbers or non-tenured staff. They may be the very reason a child pushes through chaos and stress just to make it here each day, because they have a staff member who believes in them. This year we're calling it right sizing. What will we call it next year? Because if I'm being honest, it feels like a ship heading straight towards an iceberg, one we can clearly see, yet no one is sounding the alarm. We are relying on savings to patch gaps and make ends meet, but what happens when those resources are exhausted? What happens when there is nothing left to draw from? As a veteran employee in this district who has experienced a reduction in force, I know firsthand what it feels like to hold a Staff Member of the Year certificate in one hand and a layoff notice in the other. What message does that send to our staff? That even when they are recognized as the very best, it still isn't enough because they are ultimately expendable. So I ask you, what kind of message do we want to send, and what kind of district do we want to be? One that quietly accepts this cycle, or one that stands up and demands better for its students and staff? This isn't just about positions or budgets, it's about people, purpose, and the future of this community. If we truly believe in our students, then we must also fight for the people who show up for them every single day. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, Board Commissioners, Superintendent, and Mr. Cox, thank you. Thank you so much for that excellent presentation. I had a couple of questions on behalf of the association. So 4% of our certificated staff are on the block there, and 5% of our non-certificated staff. I heard the Board President mention that she's concerned that we put numbers out there of people, but I would really hope that you would consider how many people that is. So when you vote, you know, you can do the math, I'm doing the math on the bath and napkin, looks like 75 people to me from the association, and we don't know who they are. Are they teachers' assistants? Are they teachers? Are they nurses? Are they social workers? How many? I think the board needs to consider how many people that would be that are not going to be serving our students when you make your decision. Thank you.
Good evening. Dan Denos, founder and executive director of Leaders of the 21st Century. Good evening, members of Plainfield Board of Education. I want to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude for what has been an incredible 3-year partnership between Leaders of the 21st Century and Plainfield Public School District. It has truly been an honor to work alongside POD's program at Plainfield High School to serve your students. Over the past 3 years, we've had the privilege of working with approximately 175 high school students, primarily juniors and seniors. What makes this partnership so meaningful is not just the number of students served, but the depth of the experience and intentional collaboration that has taken place. I also want to acknowledge Mr. Squarey, Ms. Bogart, and Mr. Carter, along with the JAG program and our high school principals. Their leadership, consistency, and commitment to students have made this partnership a true model of what alignment between a school district and an external partner looks like. This is what it looks like when everyone is on the same page, working together to ensure the best possible outcomes for young people. From our perspective, Plainfield has demonstrated what it means to invest in the holistic development of students, not just academically, but professionally and personally as well. Over the course of our work together, we have tracked both qualitative and quantitative outcome, and what has been witnessed has been powerful. Students are not only participating, they are transforming. We have seen measurable growth in areas such as, God bless you, such as leadership, development, professional communication, confidence, and preparedness for life after high school. Students are leaving our sessions with stronger sense of identity, direction, and belief in what is possible for their future. One of the core components of our program is what we call power skills. They are skills that determine long-term success, but not always explicitly taught in traditional classrooms. Our students are engaged in workshops such as networking, drafting professional emails, time management, building relationships, code switching, understanding how to navigate the different rooms that you're in, personal branding, how to prepare yourself with confidence and clarity, creating your own personal mission to guide your decision making. These are not theoretical lessons. These are applied real-world skills that students practice and carry with them as transition to college careers or trade and pathways. To bring this to life, I want to share a reflection from one of our students. A student shared that before participating in the program, they did not feel confident speaking to professionals or advocating for themselves. After completing the workshops, they expressed that they now feel prepared to walk in any room, introduce themselves with confidence, and pursue opportunities that once thought were out of reach. That is what impact of exposure looks like. That is what impact of intentional partnership looks like. As we look toward next year, we are eager to continue to build this momentum by increasing the number of students we serve and continue to produce strong, measurable outcomes for this district. On behalf of Leaders of the 21st Century, the founder, the executive director, I want to thank you all for trusting our organization. We are 10 years. We've in partnership with over 700 students annually throughout the school day. I am proud of the work that we have done and proud of the work that we continue to do. And it has been both an honor and a privilege to stand alongside you in this important work. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Sharetta Thomas, Plainfield Board of Ed. Good evening, Madam President, Vice President, and Board Commissioners. I am honored to address you this evening to extend congratulations to all retirees recognized on tonight's agenda. I would like to acknowledge in particular my husband, Mr. Gregory B. Thomas, for nearly 4 decades of dedicated service as a business educator. I would like to say I'm a little nervous. This is a very surreal moment for me. I met Mr. Thomas when he was 19 years old. I was 18. He's now 66, and I'm whatever. But this is unreal to me. But anyway, Mr. Thomas began his career teaching at Plainfield High School in 1985 as a long-term substitute, initially viewing education as a temporary engagement before pursuing other professional opportunities. However, his path took a different direction. For 12 years, he served in Buffalo, New York, instructing high school students and supporting adults in earning their GEDs, an endeavor that was especially meaningful as he witnessed parents graduate alongside their families' encouragement. His commitment extended beyond the regular school day. After hours, Mr. Thomas commuted 35 miles each way to teach at Attica Prison. In 1998, Mr. Thomas returned to New Jersey and resumed his tenure at Plainfield High School, where his passion for education continued to flourish. He regularly brought home new experiences, and our son, then 5 years old, frequently accompanied him to school for events and activities. While our son did not attend Plainfield High School, he became well acquainted with the community, forming friendships with many students who were taught by Mr. Thomas, occasionally resulting in memorable interactions when they visited our homes. Notably, Mr. Thomas is among the select educators. He was invited to participate in a former student's wedding, a testament to the positive impact he had on his pupils. This unique honor reflects the deep relationship Mr. Thomas has built over the years, extending beyond the classroom and into the personal milestones of his students' lives. Such invitations underscore the lasting impression and meaningful guidance he has provided, illustrating the profound influence he continues to have within the Plainfield Public Schools community. Though initially surprised, he accepted the honor, joining the wedding party and sharing in the occasion with pride. He taught the bride and the groom, and he was the oldest person in the wedding party. Over the course of his distinguished career, Mr. Thomas has educated an estimated 6,000 students. When asked about his favorite students of all times, he often mentions Mr. Keith Costin, now the president of PEA, for whom he has shown great mentorship, even teaching him how to drive. Mr. Thomas maintains strong connections with former students, making it a priority to visit the ones who went on to attend his alma mater, Hampton University. On a recent trip to homecoming, he delivered a package that was given to him by one of his parents to a former student, class of 2025, who greeted him warmly on campus. His first comment was, "Mr. Thomas, you're wearing jeans," because anyone who knows Mr. Thomas knows he usually wears a shirt and tie 99% of the time. Throughout the community, Mr. Thomas is frequently recognized and greeted by past students. During back-to-school nights, many return as parents whose children he is now teaching. He is now teaching the second generation of most of his students. This continuity is particularly significant to Mr. Thomas as he remains deeply committed to the students of Plainfield Public Schools. Once again, congratulations are in order. We take immense pride in our family and his achievements. Notably, several members of this board commission present today are his former students. Thank you.
Thank you for those beautiful comments, Ms. Thomas. I am absolutely one of Mr. Thomas' students, and he was my favorite student, and he actually teaches my son. And so this is a beautiful full circle moment. He is awesome. We are definitely gonna miss him. I tried to get him to stay for my other children, but he said absolutely not. So, thank you for that. We really, really appreciate you, Mr. Thomas. All right, do we have any more comments from the floor before I entertain our virtual participants? All right, Nick, who do we have online?
First is Jay Vargas.
Okay, you can cue them up.
Next is M. Listani.
Who?
What's the name?
Hello?
Yes, who's this?
This is Mr. Pisani.
Mr. Pisani.
How are you?
How are you, Mr. Pisani?
I'm doing good. I came to address the board about the calendar for next year. I was hoping to make a couple of changes. One, to move the parent conferences in the spring to March 16th through 18th because the Thursday that you've selected is Holy Thursday, and usually people have to attend that night for Catholics. The second change, I was hoping to put Columbus Day back for a holiday to celebrate. The third was to put Wednesday, November 11th, Veterans Day, as a holiday to celebrate, and to put 2 snow days at the end of the calendar year.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pisani, for your recommendations. Okay, Ms. Miranda Brown, you have the floor.
Good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Good evening.
Perfect. Thank you. As you know, my name is Laura Miranda Brown, and I'm a parent and resident of Plainfield. I have 3 concerns. 1 week ago, the administration promised cuts would come from administrative departments first, before teachers and student-facing staff. Tonight, they told us they cut $4.4 million in non-salary costs. We acknowledge that, but this agenda still permanently eliminates 29 student-facing positions while adding back a $96,000 consulting contract and a new special education consulting fee with no stated cap, all in the same meeting. We understand the $4 million capital reserve withdrawal funds real building safety needs, Hubbard ceilings, an aging elevator, HVAC at PHS, and tile abatement at PHS North. We support that, but a district with $4 million in deferred safety needs is precisely the district that needs its students' support specialists most. A 2% tax increase, which was mentioned earlier, would have raised $620,000 every single year going forward. The administration, I believe, rejected it, saying they don't need the funds, but also said tonight that cuts are necessary because of reduction in funds. Both statements were made. They cannot both be true. And critically, the administration said tonight, and I'm quoting, "The percentages you see are proposed, they are not final." If the personnel alignment is not final, this board should not vote tonight to permanently abolish 29 positions. Permanently abolished positions require a new board vote to restore. You're being asked to make an irreversible decision based on unfinished proposals. This vote should be tabled. Second, the record. Tonight, this board is set to approve January minutes containing no public comment at all. Every resident who spoke that night did so virtually. Their words do not exist in the official record. The February 10th minutes name 6 residents, including myself, but record nothing we actually said. The February 17th minutes falsely state Commissioner Andrews moved to end public comment when he actually moved to extend it. This is not the first time my comments have been omitted. It happened in 2023 as well. This is a pattern, not a clerical error. This board should examine whether one person should serve as both business administrator and board secretary, controlling district finances and the official record of what the public says about those finances. Third, tonight the board is poised to pass a policy governing closed-door meetings in a single reading with no second public review. A policy about transparency deserves more than one night. Before April 14th, which is your next business meeting on the calendar, please reconcile the contradiction between not needing funds and having a reduction in funds. Please correct the January and February minutes and give policy 9322 a proper second reading. The district has told us taxes will not go up. We are holding you to that, but 0% means nothing to our children if the people supporting them every day are gone. 0% on a tax bill is not the same as zero cost to this community.
Ms. Miranda Brown, your time is up. Thank you. Nick, do we have someone else ready? Okay. Sarah Virgo, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. First, congratulations to Mr. Thomas. He has been one of my son's favorite teachers for years. And congratulations to Mrs. Thomas as well. The district has been so fortunate to have both of you. Regarding this evening, I have a few questions and just observations regarding the budget and recent governance practices that I would appreciate some clarification. I would like to better understand how our proposed budget aligns with state expectations. What is the DOE required adequacy spending level for our district, and how closely is the current proposed budget aligned with that figure? Additionally, what is the state's confirmed local fair share for Plainfield, and what is the gap between that amount and the tax levy currently being proposed or discussed? I think that context would be helpful for the public in understanding both our obligations and our constraints. Second, I want to raise a concern about the way that the policies are being presented and adopted, particularly this evening's 9322. We have seen a number of policies recently listed under first and final reading without any prior discussion, any committee reports, or really any explanation of the rationale behind the requested changes. It reiterates these firm limits that we have on public comment and makes it clear that there will be no back and forth dialogue. But again, it doesn't really there's no supporting evidence offered in support of the rationale. I understand that some of these limits have been in place for a few months, but in combination with that limited visibility into committee work and rare public discussion, it really creates the perception that meaningful deliberation is not happening in public view. Additionally, while the policy appropriately cautions against using electronic communication, it appears that a significant amount of discretion and enforcement authority is concentrated in the role of board president, particularly around approvals, compliance, and potential exclusion from executive session. It would just be helpful for the public to understand what safeguards are in place to ensure these provisions are applied consistently and fairly. As all of you know, NJSBA provides model policies for 9322, and while districts can certainly customize them, this version appears to really go beyond standard language by introducing detailed enforcement provisions and concentrating authority again in the role of board president. Again, it would just be helpful to understand the rationale for those additions and how they compare to typical practices across districts. Lastly, I just want to acknowledge and appreciate the statement regarding the audit process, and to reiterate that, yes, audits and budgets serve very different purposes. Audits are designed to review past financial activity, not to shape future financial decisions. But with that in mind, it is somewhat concerning that our auditors have been invited to participate in the April meeting or any meeting involving budget discussions or presentations, even if only just to clarify aspects of their report. Auditors are meant to remain independent, and it is really difficult to understand the rationale for their involvement in this context. And finally, a portion of the audit report may have been added to our website on February 5th. I did not see it, and I was checking regularly, but I did see an abbreviated version added on February 19th with a full version added on 2/20 after prompting through email. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have anybody else, Nick? Dave Vargas, you have the floor.
Good evening, members of the Plainfield School Board and guests. It's a pleasure to join you this evening. My name is Juanita Vargas. I'm the Chief Program Officer at United Way of Greater Union County. In partnership and at the direction of Julian Sherry, the President and CEO, and of the staff at United Way, I'm here to express our deep appreciation for the partnership we've built with Superintendent Hassan and the Plainfield School District. His support has been instrumental in strengthening United Way's presence in Plainfield schools and creating the space we need to truly engage students in meaningful ways. United Way has invested thousands of dollars to provide youth at risk of not graduating with the support services that they need to address the barriers to their academic success. This would not have been possible without Superintendent Hassan's support. He has consistently demonstrated a genuine openness to collaboration, and because of his leadership, we've been able to expand our WIOA in-school youth programming and connect over 100 Plainfield students and their families to critical services. Through this partnership, young people have received career readiness training, tutoring, work experience opportunities, summer youth employment opportunities, case management services, and mental health services, all designed to help them stay in school and plan for their post-secondary pathways. What stands out most is how closely Superintendent Hassan's focus aligns with our mission, particularly his commitment to improving student outcomes related to employment and career pathways. That shared vision is what makes this partnership so effective. Superintendent Hassan has also been a champion of bringing schools and community-based organizations closer together. He has strengthened communication across the Plainfield School District, which has made it easier for programs like ours to operate efficiently and meet students where they are. His leadership has helped create a partnership-friendly environment, one that not only benefits Plainfield's youth today, but has also provided an example for collaboration with other districts across the region. We have often referenced our partnership with the Plainfield School District as a model for collaboration. Overall, his support and the district's support has allowed us to better serve young people by connecting their education to real-world opportunities that can change the trajectory of their lives. We at United Way are grateful for this partnership, and we look forward to continuing this important work together on behalf of Plainfield's youth. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your commitment to the students of this community.
Thank you for your comments. Nick, who's the next person? You have the floor.
Good evening, Board Commissioners, Madam President. Good evening, members of the community. My name is Azim Hassan Gray, and I am a parent of two beautiful girls that attend Plainfield Public School District, also a neighbor, taxpayer, et cetera, et cetera. So I wanted to first thank Mr. Greg Thomas, right, who doubles as my neighbor, for his phenomenal work in the Plainfield Public School District. He is a gentleman and a scholar. I can recall when I first brought my daughter home from the hospital, and it was just like this level of like anxiety that I had just being a new parent. And I just remember he had a party going on. And I was just like, hold on, let me go over there real quick, talk to him real fast about the party he's having, and just see what's going on. And he couldn't have been the nicest guy, just extreme gentleman. Was just like, hey, I got the music playing. He was like, what time you want me to turn it down? I was like, I'm a new parent, but if you can turn it down to the clock, it's fine. He turned it down at 9:58 p.m. and he invited me over for a beer, and that began sort of like this understanding of me sort of like having this rapport with my neighbors. And just ever since then, it's just been like phenomenal experience just having him as a neighbor, and also having his wife as a neighbor as well. So I just wanted to thank Greg for all he did for the Plainfield Public School District. It is deeply infectious. Your sense of just making sure everybody is protected in our community and making sure that people do the right thing as well. So with doing the right thing that I wanted to acknowledge, so there is a pending ethics charge, right, against an employee. I firmly believe that there should be no public tax dollars that goes towards defending an employee when we're doing something wrong, right? If they were doing something out of their duties. I humbly ask the board that if you want to pay for this employee's legal fees, you first have that employee pay out of pocket, then have them reimbursed. But please, please, do not use public tax dollars to justify or to subsidize incompetence. Thank you.
Nick, who's the next person? Art Thompson, you have the floor.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Good evening. I want to thank you for your service to the community, to all board commissioners. I also want to say congratulations to the Thomas family from the Thompson family. My question is about cell phones. Governor Murphy signed a law into effect, a bell-to-bell cell phone ban during the school day, and we haven't enacted it yet. My question is, when will it be enacted? And I believe the sooner the better. The reason why the law was enacted is because we know that it does irreparable harm to our kids' mental, cyberbullying, as well as low academic performance. So my question is, when will we see this law go into effect in Plainfield Public Schools? I'm sorry, I'm out of breath. I was working out. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick, who's the next person? Who is it? Leslie, you have the floor.
Yeah. Good evening, board commissioners. My name is Leslie, and I'm a student at Plainfield Public Schools. I am here with my classmate Anthony. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak tonight. I am here to respectfully introduce the idea of a proposed constitutional amendment aimed at strengthening the protections of immigrants' rights while reaffirming the fundamental principles already established in the United States Constitution. As our nation continues to grow and diversity, it is essential that our laws reflect the values of fairness, justice, and equal protection that define the American democratic tradition. This proposed amendment will ensure that the President of the United States fully respects constitutional warranties when making decisions related to immigrants and deportation. First, the amendment will reinforce the First Amendment by ensuring that immigrants are not punished, persecuted, or deported for exercising their freedoms of religion, speech, press, assembly, or petition. These freedoms are the foundation of our democracy, and no person, regardless of immigration status, should fear deportation for expressing their beliefs or participating in civil life. Second, the amendment will strengthen the Fourth Amendment protections by prohibiting unreasonable searches, seizures, or detention of immigrants without legal cause. Third, it will guarantee the right to due process under the Fifth Amendment, ensuring that no person is deported without a fair and impartial hearing or before a jury. This protection is essential in the preventing unjust or arbitrary deportation. Additionally, the amendment will uphold the Eighth Amendment by prohibiting excessive bail, excessive fines, or cruel and unusual punishment in the enforcement of immigration laws. Finally, the amendment aligns with the 14th Amendment by affirming that all persons within the United States are entitled to equal protection under the law, regardless of immigration status. To support this proposal, my classmates and I conduct a school-wide survey among the teachers and staff and collected signatures from adults in our community. The results were overwhelmingly supportive. Approximately 98% of participants agreed that immigrants should be guaranteed due process, equal protection, and freedom from discrimination on unjust deportation. This shows a strong community support for the fair and equal application.
Leslie, that is your time.
Motion to extend.
Second.
Okay.
It's been properly moved.
Tell her to wait.
Is she still on?
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Dr. Harris to extend Leslie's speaking time. You've heard the motion. Are you ready for the question?
Yes.
There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Go ahead, Leslie, you have the floor.
This shows strong community support for the fair and equal applications of constitutional rights. For this reason, I respectfully ask you to consider supporting this idea as part of a broader effort to promote justice, strengthen constitutional integrity, and ensure that our immigration system reflects the values upon which our nation was founded. Protecting the rights of immigrants is not only a legal responsibility, but also a moral responsibility that speaks to the character and future of our country. Thank you for your time and your service as board commissioners. We hope you can help our families for being terrorized in our own community. Your commitment to fairness and fight for a better future for our schools are greatly appreciated. Now my classmate who is also connected to this meeting will comment on this in Spanish. May you guys please unmute him?
Thank you, Leslie. Actually, you are not allowed to transfer your time to another person. He's the next person? Oh, he has his hand.
Okay.
Okay, well, actually, the time is ended, so we're going to need a motion to extend public comment.
Extend public comment for the one student that needs to speak to translate. Pardon me?
There's two people.
Motion to extend for the one student who.
There are two students. Oh, there's one student in Catherine Balch.
Motion to extend for the student and Catherine Balch to make their comments.
Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Dr. Harris to extend for the one student and Ms. Balch. You've heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Motion carried.
Student's name? Anthony, you have the floor.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm gonna read mine in Spanish.
Okay, that's fine.
Buenas noches, comisionados de la Junta. Mi nombre es Anthony y soy un estudiante de las escuelas públicas de Plainfield y estoy aquí con mi compañera de clase Leslie. Gracias por darnos la oportunidad de hablar esta noche. Estoy aquí para presentar respetuosamente la idea de una propuesta de enmienda constitucional destinada a fortalecer la protección de los derechos de los inmigrantes, al tiempo que reafirma los principios fundamentales ya establecidos en la Constitución de los Estados Unidos. A medida que nuestra nación continúa creciendo y diversificando, es esencial que nuestras leyes reflejen los valores de equidad, justicia e igualdad de protección que definen la tradición de democracia estadounidense. Esta enmienda propuesta garantizada que el presidente de los Estados Unidos respete plenamente las garantías constitucionales al tomar decisiones relacionadas con la inmigración y la deportación. En primer lugar, la enmienda reforzaria de la primera enmienda al garantizar que los inmigrantes no sean, I'm sorry.
Got it? Catherine is not on still? Ms. Balch, you have the floor.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you now.
Okay. Good evening, and thank you for allowing the time for the public to speak. I was thrilled to hear from students. I wish I could be with you tonight, but circumstances did not allow. I want to address the issue of accountability. I find that it's difficult. This is a very difficult time, and first, I would like to say that I appreciate the presentation by the acting superintendent and the business administrator. I feel that I do have a better grasp of what you're dealing with. I question the degree to which there's a commitment to accountability in our district. It seems to me that it can be difficult for administrators to hold staff accountable at times. I think it's difficult for everyone up and down the line to hold each other accountable. For instance, there were 3 states in the United States that has managed to crack the code of educating students effectively: Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. And the 2 things that they had that I'm not sure that we have such a strong representation for are accountability and strong, consistent leadership. I miss Superintendent Hassan, his financial explanations I always could understand very easily. So it's a high bar to meet, I grant, but I think that tonight's presentation went a long way in telling us, the community, where you stand. But if the budget and if the strategic plan and if your efforts of transparency are to be held, are to hold going forward, there absolutely needs to be accountability on every step of the way. The superintendent needs to hold the principals accountable, the principals need to hold the teachers accountable, the teachers need to hold the students accountable, and the parents are in that equation, and as are residents. I think it's imperative that residents support the school district by paying the taxes that are required. I think sometimes residents are looking at decisions made by the district and find it difficult to support through taxes. But I think the more transparency you give us,
Ms. Balch, that is your
better
time.
likelihood it is that we will support you with the money that you need.
Ms. Balch, that is your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Motion to close public comment.
We have a second?
Been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Commissioners Douglas and Allen Jordan to close public comment at a time. You heard this motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed have the same right. Motion carried.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask if our student commissioners might have any questions based on the presentation or any comments or questions made by the public. I see they're doing rock, paper, scissors to see who asks their questions first. Don't either one of you jump out at once.
Okay, so for the one slide where you had the pyramid for the foundational learning, because you said you want to conceptualize math, I acknowledge that Alex was one of the bases of that. And I do acknowledge that on the foundational learning for early education, this be like elementary, even middle school, this is great. But as an AP Calc student, taking Alex, or even as a pre-calc student, taking Alex is very, very tiring. We are told that we have to meet a 8-topic per week mark, which I acknowledge, you know, for algebra or even geometry is pretty easy and you just take the time to learn. But for an AP Calc student, taking a 8-topic time would be around 4 hours. So every Sunday I find myself 4 hours sitting under my computer doing AP Calc work. And not only that, but it doesn't align with the curriculum that I'm currently learning in class. So I'm learning 2 different things at the same time, which is against the conceptualizing that you originally pushed. So I'm just wondering, has that been considered? Because you talked about the redundancy. So if we're learning something in class and then we're learning a different thing and it's counterproductive to its initial goal, then have we considered changing that for the higher classes?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That will be considered, and it will be considered tomorrow. I really am so proud of you for being an AP Calc. It's such a hard class, and you sharing that redundancy, if you will, and unnecessary work is really helpful. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm actually familiar with that because, as you know, my son attends PAS with you, and I do know that that is the standard for the math teachers there for those 8 assignments that you all have to complete. So I'm glad that you're sharing that now. Continue to share things with us, even outside of the board meeting, so that we can get ahead of it and not have to be reactive to it, because if we could fix that in real time and the superintendent, the acting superintendent can talk with your building administration, those are things that they can fine tune. So continue to share with us, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just for a clarification point, I know a lot of people have been concerned with the administration cut. Is there a way, like, you can clarify further on the administration cut, like who's going first, or are there particular people, are you guys looking at, I know you said, the redundancies, so just a little bit more clarification on that, if you have it now.
That's a great question, and other people have asked that too. We're not ready to share that yet. There's the process, but we will, within 1 month, be sharing that with you.
Okay, thank you so much.
And then also, once we do share like the actual numbers, we are restricted from sharing too much information as it pertains to personnel items, but we will share as much as we legally can. Okay? More questions? Heaven, do you have anything, sweetie? You guys had combined questions? You discussed it?
Yeah.
Okay, if you have any more questions, then you can send them to us and let us know, and we'll get answers for you. Are you guys discussing another question? You're good? Okay, so at this time, I will allow Dr. Filipatos, Mr. Cox, and any members of the administration that you deem necessary to answer questions related directly to the presentation, or questions that community members may have had that you can provide clarity to. I know there are many things that you might not be able to, but answer what you can.
Questions from public comment?
Yes, questions
Okay.
from public comment.
Yeah, I wanted to start with R. Thompson and thank him for bringing up the cell phone ban, which will begin next year. It goes into effect next year, and we have a fully functional committee that we would love you to join. We need some parents, some community members. So I have Denise Shipman, who the Executive Director of Student Services is in the audience, and I would like to get your contact information. I don't know if you can let's talk it to us or email me. I would love to connect you to that committee. The committee consists of teachers and principals and students, and they are working on the plan. And we've also been talking to students a lot about it too. So thank you so much for putting that on the table. Yeah, September 1st, the cell phone ban. It's a law from bell to bell. Students cannot have cell phones in school. And Governor Murphy put that into effect before he left office. I also wanted to just clear up the 29 positions that are on the HR agenda portion of the agenda to be abolished. Those positions are vacant. They are positions that have been replaced by updated positions. So there's not one person in them, and every function of those positions is being covered by another position. So that's sort of the process that you go through when you are finding redundancies. So that is why those empty vacant positions are up for abolishment on this agenda. The special education consultant, when we have to place that, there is no amount because there's no beginning as well. That's just a one-time if needed. When we have to go towards mediation, sometimes additional consultants need to be added, but that is not that wouldn't be, that's a possible consultant. It's not someone who's getting a contract. Well, the calendar, thank you, Mr. Pisani, for your very detailed request for the calendar, and we will discuss that in ELT tomorrow. Even though the calendar that's on the agenda right now is for this year, adjusting for our snow days, the calendar for the 2026-27 school year has already been approved, but we do appreciate your feedback, especially regarding the parent-teacher conferences, and we will get back to you regarding that. I might see you tomorrow at the Teachers Roundtable, actually, so we can talk again. But I also just want to encourage, we did leave both of the links from the town hall that we did last week for staff and for the community. We left both of those links open, and we are monitoring those links. So if we are not able to answer your question now, in particular, Ms. Laura Miranda Brown, you did have a lot of questions. I'm not sure. Yeah, and Sarah Virgo as well. You please, if you put them in the link, we will reply to you at any time, or you can always reach out via email or Let's Talk too.
Also, as we're answering those questions, they may not have the answer to those questions this evening. We can still provide that context to the public at our next board meeting, which will be in April. I know that sometimes you guys, all the time, you guys would like and expect us to answer your questions in real time at the meeting that we're currently at, but it's not always possible for us to do that. We do have to go back and obtain the information that you're requesting and make sure that we're providing you the most accurate information. So bear with us and give us some grace as we get through this budget season. We will consider everything that was stated tonight and provide you with updates accordingly. All right. All right. So I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session for the board. Do we have a motion on the floor?
Motion to enter into executive session.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Commissioner Douglas that the board will now adjourn in this executive session. You heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Motion carried.
Okay, I would say, yes, I would say an hour. If we need longer, we will come out and share with you. We will complete our executive session, so do not hold us to a hard stop in an hour, but we're hoping to finish at that time.
Recording in progress.
Meeting to order.
Motion to open public session, reopen public session?
Second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Commissioners Dr. Harris and Commissioner Douglas. You heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed have the same right. Motion carried.
Right. Okay. So, is there any discussion on, okay. Now, do we have any questions from commissioners on the agenda item? All right, I'll entertain a motion for.
I'm sorry, so moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Andrews and seconded by Commissioner Vice President Webb to move tonight's agenda as a consent agenda. You've heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed have the same right. Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'm sorry, can I just before we go into it, can I just make a few small comments? That's what I thought to do.
Remove the motion from the floor.
Hold on one second. Commissioner Vice President Webb put the motion on the floor. We need to see if it's going to fail or get a second. Mr. Andrews, Commissioner Hembry seconded the motion. We'll save that for questions on the motion.
I don't have questions, I have comments. I had a couple comments, but again, I figured I could give them in the part of the agenda. I don't have to call anything else. I don't have any questions.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Commissioner Hembry to approve tonight's consent agenda. You've heard the motion. Are there any questions on the motion? Question or comments on the motion?
I do. I just have, no, not on that particular motion, no.
Okay. There being none, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Malone.
Yes, for everything, you can say no for.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner Hembry? Yes. Commissioner Dr. Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Douglas?
Yes.
Commissioner Andrews?
No on 08 and Q2.
Everything else is a yes?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen Jordan? Yes. Commissioner Vice President Webb?
Yes.
Commissioner President White?
Yes, and as always, please make sure that everybody is
reviewed. With the noted noes, all agenda items still pass, Madam President.
Thank you very much. And now I would like to have a comment from General Counsel based on previous questions from the public and the union leadership.
Okay, so the board has asked me to address the issue about proposed staffing reductions. The administration has been transparent with the union as to proposed percentages and has met with the union about the rules of engagement for staffing reductions. The district has provided projected percentages of staffing cuts for transparency, but final numbers and specifics cannot be provided at this time, as the administration must first obtain board approval and determine tenure, seniority, and bumping rights of impacted staff. The board anticipates approving a staffing resolution at its April meeting, where the board will publicly vote on the specific positions that will be eliminated or reduced in number, as well as the impact to staff.
Thank you very much. I just want to make one last statement before I entertain a motion to adjourn, that the administration will continue to be transparent and continue to meet with the union representatives as they have been weekly to address concerns and provide updates regarding our budget process as we move forward. But that is all of the information that we are able to share this evening regarding specifics to anything related to budget cuts. Now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Commissioner Douglas that the board now adjourn this meeting in the public. You've heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned at 10:25.
Recording stopped.